So let's look at EndNote a little more. The first thing that I'd like to do is show you how to add new references. So we're going to come here. I've recently read an article, a paper that I want to add. So I'm here in my EndNote library. I click the plus for a new reference, and I can choose the proper description for this reference. There are a couple of dozen options here. The one that I'm going to enter now is a journal article. It has quite a number of authors, so I'm going to start entering the authors. Fortunately, if you've ever used that author before, it remembers that and lets you use autocomplete. So I'm going to take advantage of that. This came out in 2008. The title is Instructional Interventions Affecting Critical Thinking Skills and Dispositions. A Stage 1 meta-analysis. The journal is the Review of Educational Research. That's also a field with a special behavior. If you've ever used that journal before, it comes in. This was in volume 78, issue 4. It had 33 pages. It started on page 1102. And now I can continue filling in the blanks that I think will be important to me later. I care that it came out in December. I like to be sure that I use keywords because sometimes I like to search my EndNote database on that. I like to write my own abstract. So this literature review examined 117 studies for the instructional efficacy of a variety of approaches, including, and I could list those, so I'm just going to say types 1, 2, 3, and 4 just to save some time. I like to use the notes field to keep track of quotations that I'll use later and the page number. The research notes field may come in handy. For electronic sources, here's a place to enter the URL if it was from the internet. You can also, if you have downloaded the file attachment, you can attach it here so that it always stays with your library. For internet-based things, you know that you're supposed to report your access date, and that pretty much wraps it up. So I'm going to close this box and make sure that I save my work. That's how you add a reference manually. But let's take a look at some databases. We're going to come to the library website, and we're going to use, let's start with EBSCOhost database. If you're off campus, you need to log in, and we'll use EBSCOhost web. You should be familiar with the database searches by this point, I hope. I'm going to go ahead and take the default choices and click on continue. Now in reality you would probably be much more particular. I'm curious about what else Dr. Philip Abrami has published, so I'm going to put his name in the author field and see what I find. Well, I found 31 articles just in EBSCOhost. Imagine that I am very thoughtful and I decide to take the top 4 here because they're his most recent work. That's not a great reason, but this is just a simple demonstration. So I've taken the first 4 and put them in the folder. So let's look at the folder view. I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to come here to this icon where it says export. And I choose that icon. And It asks me if I'd like to save the citations to a file formatted for direct export to EndNote. That's exactly what I need. So I've got that selected already. I will click Save here momentarily. Now before I do, I want to direct your attention to my EndNote library. You'll see that I have 28 references now. Hang on to that number. When I click over here on Save, it imports some references for me. I've got my 4 imported, and I now have 32 references in my library, and you can see that here. So let's take a look at one of those. You'll notice that it has automatically filled in all of the information for me. It has also automatically brought the abstract, and this is the author's abstract. Now you need to think about whether or not you actually want to put other people's words into your EndNote library. If a professor is giving you an assignment to do an annotated bibliography, you might take those words out and replace it with your own. I think if you have to turn in an annotated bibliography, that would be a very wise thing to do. But this is how you export references from an electronic database into EndNote. Now some of the databases will let you do it, others won't. It's kind of a hit or miss thing, and you'll have to experiment. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one and move on from there. I'd like to show you how to search ISU's library, and that's very easy. If you don't already have the online search options showing, just click on Online Search, choose your library, and go on from there. But I've already got it here, so I click that and it connects to the library for me. I can now look in our card catalog for work that I'm interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and use Robert Perrin and see if the library has anything by him. Well, it looks like there are 21 references. And so I can choose which of these to include and which to later delete. But that is how easy it is to search the ISU library for works that are in our card catalog.